Hello, I'm Dr. Nicola with Pura Vida, and I wanted to talk to you today about the news because it is causing many of us to feel stressed and anxious and overwhelmed and really just fostering this vibration that doesn't feel in alignment with who we really are. And I am sitting with lots of people who are feeling this way, both professionally and personally. And I wrote down a few things for a patient of mine, and I thought that maybe I would share them with you here because this is I don't know if I want to call it a universal experience, but there is a lot of change and shift and uncertainty, regardless of how you fall politically, regardless of where you live. There's just, globally, nationally, there's a lot to process. There's a lot of change, and with change, it becomes unknown. And for a lot of us, that makes us our systems pretty revved up, and we have a hard time sleeping, or we feel more depressed or anxious, or we have digestive issues, or all of these things that can come up when we are carrying more stress in our systems. And so there are tangible things that you can do today, right now, in this moment, and I wanted to share those with you. And the first one is, speaking of the now moment, is really a lot of times when we have fears, it's because we are projecting into the future. We are creating an expectation. Because A is here, that must mean that B, C, and D are going to happen. And I hate B, C, and D, and I just don't want that to happen. And so we create this vibration of fear in our bodies, in our systems. And that, of course, as you know, manifests as physical symptoms a lot of times. And so what we want to do is bring ourselves back into the now moment. What is actually here now, and separate out that seed of now from the giant wraparound of expectations or conclusions or judgments that we have jumped to, because that is a very, very common pattern. And it is tricky to come back into this now moment and notice what is actually here, what is actually already here. And if it's here, it has to be happening for me, and not just for me as a selfish individual, but for me and for humanity, because this is something that, if this is what's coming through, it is truly a highest potential. And so if we are having a hard time unplugging or detaching from those conclusions, something that might be helpful is this idea of I wonder. And this is really more of a heart-based practice than a head-based practice of I wonder what that will be and I wonder what that will lead to. But really, like this genuine heart-based curiosity of I I wonder what this will create. I actually don't know what this will create. I can see or feel those parts of me that think that they know exactly where this is going to lead, but the truth of it is that I don't know where this is going, and I'm going to come back to my center and say this is what's here now. I actually don't know where this is going to go, and I'm going to really open myself to all the possibilities rather than narrowing and potentially co-creating that one expectation that we really actually want to avoid, or maybe that thing that you don't think should be coming through for you comes through and it actually creates something really magnificent for you. So we don't know what will be created until it has arrived. And when it arrives, then we get to notice these parts of ourselves. I love to talk about the parts. And so really, what emotions does this bring up for me? With this person I was sitting with, it was, fear of the future. Terror was a word that came up. Just really having a hard time with the uncertainty of what was coming ahead. And so we were just able to breathe and make some space for that fear, that terror, and that's a big word, right? Terror is can feel like I can't possibly be with terror, but really in the matter of a few seconds of just identifying this is what's here, saying it's okay that that's here, and really breathing with that emotion, she was able to really make more space for it, and that fear and terror sensations actually diminished right in that moment. And so this is what we want to really become aware of, is what emotions is this bringing up for me? Because the emotions, especially the untended ones, will start to stoke that fire of the mind and expectations and beliefs and conclusions. And again, that narrows down our field of possibility, and we don't necessarily have access to other possibilities, other resources, other tools that might be helpful for us because we are in this narrow place. And so, really, this is just when we have these emotions, like this is just what's here. It's okay that it's here. I'm going to breathe and I'm going to give it some space. So, it's not, you notice that I'm saying it's not about making it go away. It's not about trying to change your emotional state. It's really about just breathing and making some more space. And remembering that, and this is, I think, a really important thing, is that we really do have choice. And noticing this language of I have to, I don't have a choice, I've got to, and the energy behind that, and start to ask yourself, is that really true? What choice do I have in this moment? Be it reading whatever headline that you're reading that may be upsetting to you. What choice do I have in this moment? Because you actually do have a choice. We can go down that well-worn pathway of fear or judgment or righteousness or anger or, fill in the blank of whatever reading today's news has created for you. And that is absolutely a choice. But I want you to remember that there is a choice point here. And so we can go down and we can continue to contribute to that frequency and that vibration, or we can just take a moment and notice the emotion that flares up. Maybe there's sensations in your body, like a furriness in the head or a constricting in the throat, or maybe you feel something in your belly or your chest. Whatever that is for you. Some people get muscle twitchies. Whatever you identify what that is. But as soon as you notice that, use that as a cue to bring you back to your choice point. Yes, this is what's here. I'm having these emotions. This is, the information that I'm receiving about what is here. And we have to be really careful with our news these days, because a lot of what is being reported is opinion and speculation, or we're reporting a fact, and then the rest of the information is conjecture. So we want to be really discerning when we are looking at the news. And we also want to remember that no matter what we are feeling, when we tend to that, that gives us space to show up in the world as who we really want to be. So if do you want to be a person that's showing up in the world angry and frustrated or desolate or despairing? Sometimes maybe, and sometimes that might be exactly what's called for. Or do you want to use this as an opportunity to remember who you really are and really drop back into the essence of your true self, so that you can step forward and shine that light, because that is who you are meant to be, and that's where you're going to feel more comfortable. And again, the mind oftentimes will be like, well, we can't show up in a positive, heart space because blah 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 is happening, right? And I just want to open that up and question, is that true? And is showing up, angry or disconnected or cut off, is that really representative of who you want to be and what you want the world to inhabit more of? And you really do, in every moment and every day, have the power to shift everything around you. This person I was talking to, really has been playing with these concepts, and we had a follow up after that conversation. And she was saying that even some of her coworkers, who she felt like she really couldn't see eye to eye with, actually softened and were more vulnerable with her around how they're feeling. And it wasn't this deep sharing moment, but it was enough for her to feel less alone in her work environment, in her social environment, because she started just tending to her own emotions and then showing up in a more neutral place, or maybe even a more open place. That even if somebody thinks differently than I do, that doesn't mean that we can't be kind to each other. It doesn't mean that we can't, demonstrate love for each other, and I mean like pure love, neutral love, and really that unconditional love of our fellow humans. So there's a lot of tips in here today because I feel like, there's so much happening. So if any of these call to you, if any of these resonate with you, please do play with them and let me know how they go. If you want to dive deeper, I've got a the Making Peace program. We're going to start in March, at the end of March, beginning of April, but we will be doing a shorter introduction to that sometime in the beginning of March, and I would love to see you there. The details are on my website, puravitahealthcare.com. And if you have any questions that you want answered, if you're feeling like you're playing with this and you want stuck, please shoot me a comment in the comments below, or a message or an email. There's a gajillion ways to get in touch. And from the bottom of my heart to yours, this invitation to show up as who you want to be in the world and what you want to create in the world. Don't give your power away by letting someone else dictate how you show up. Okay? All right. Thanks so much again for joining, and we'll talk again soon. Bye.